There have been some very interesting developments in the world of Magic the Gathering recently. One of them is the surprise shutdown of Mythic markets. And the other thing I want to talk about is the upcoming alternate release of mystery boosters that are going to be available at LGSs.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well. We're here to start out a new week, and a new week means new news. So, we have two major items to talk about today. Like I said in the beginning, one of them is the surprise shutdown of Mythic markets. And I also wanted to delve into the alternate version of mystery boosters that are going to be available at local game stores in August. Because Wizards of the Coast has made an interesting and odd choice when it comes to this product. But first things first, let us dive in to the Mythic market side of the story. Now, I imagine some of you know what Mythic markets is. And some of you are scratching your head going, Mythic markets, what is that? Is that just another website selling magic cards like any number of different locations where I can go to buy singles? And no. Mythic markets represent something that I never really thought that I would see in Magic the Gathering. And that is fractional investing. Honestly, the concept kind of threw me for a loop when I originally encountered it. So, I have on the screen an example here that I'm going to use to break down for you how this whole concept worked, okay? So the idea is it works similar to a stock market, which, let's be real, Magic the Gathering already feels like a crazy unregulated stock market where prices go up and down and there's insider information, people, backdoor trading and everything like that, behind closed doors craziness. Like, it already had that kind of a vibe. But this new level of fractional investing, it took it to a whole new world for me. So the idea behind this is we have an alpha Black Lotus. Now this is the genuine item. This is a genuine Magic the Gathering card. You can see it's a BGS graded 9 version of it, okay? So that's mint. It's not gem mint, but literally that's a 9 rated Alpha Lotus. And if you're not aware of how rare cards like this are, when it comes to Alpha Lotuses, there were roughly a little over 1,000 of them printed at the very beginning of Magic. Back in 1993, a little over 1,000 copies of this card were printed, and then they were just left to basically have whatever happened to them over time. And by that, I mean, if you played Magic back in the day, you will remember, we didn't use sleeves, we didn't protect our cards got beat up, scuffed, destroyed, we wrote on our cards, we tore them apart, like, you just treated them like random game pieces. Nobody considered Magic to be this amazing sort of financial bounty in the future. Like, nowadays, people crack packs wearing gloves, put the cards immediately into sleeves, put that into another sleeve, but it wasn't like that back in the day. So, there was originally a little over 1,000 of these Alpha Lotuses. Now, a number of them are going to either be destroyed or lost. So first of all, you're going to lose some that way. Secondly, there's going to be a bunch that are just beat up. They've taken a bunch of damage. This is essentially the equivalent of a pack fresh Black Lotus. If it has any imperfections, there would be very few. So it's been graded and put in this protective case, and as a result, it's maintained its status. Right now, remember what I said, these are super rare. So the price tag that this card was set at is $90,000, and you can see that noted under initial offering amount. It's kind of crazy to think about Magic cards being treated the same way as like a company going public, where they have their initial public offering where people are able to buy shares. And that's the same concept here. So the Black Lotus itself is initially being offered at a value of $90,000, but you don't go and say, I would like to purchase this card. You purchase a portion of the card. So you can see the initial share price is $45. And that means that basically, if you break it down, 90,000 divided by 45, you're going to end up with 2,000 shares. So the way, let's say you wanted to invest in buying like a portion of this Black Lotus, you could buy anywhere from 1 share up to, I don't know if they limit it, maybe you could even buy all 2,000 shares, although if you have that money, I don't know why you wouldn't just buy a Lotus outright. But anyways, you can buy, if you wanted to buy 10 shares, you could put $450 down towards this Lotus. Now that's a weird thing to do, right? You may be going, well, wait a minute, why would I possibly want to buy like a 10th or a 5th of a Lotus? Why would I want to buy 1/2000th of a Lotus? What benefit do I get from this? It's not like I can play with the card. What even is the point of this? Well, this is literally just about finances. So the idea would be that if the value of this Lotus increases over time, which, to be fair, it is most likely going to increase. Let's be very clear about that. There are very few copies of this card. The Magic markets don't seem to have any sign of any real cooldown happening anytime soon. So Black Lotus is most likely just going to keep inching up. So if this card, like if it went up to being worth $99,000, right? Then all of a sudden you have an increase in value of $10,000, or no, not $10,000, sorry, 10%. It's $9,000, right? So you've increased the value by 10%. That would mean that the shares also would increase by 10% in value. So all of a sudden, your $45 share is now a $49.50 share. And I believe you can sell them to other people if they're interested in investing in them. And you get paid out if the person who has the card sells the card. I have to admit, I don't fully understand how the ownership of the card aspect works. Like, who owns the card while all the shares are being sold? And then once all the shares are sold, the person still gets to hang on to they get to own the Lotus up until it gets sold. It's a very weird and crazy concept, and the level of documentation that they have in terms of these crazy documents, it really does look like the kind of stuff you would see out there in the stock market. It is baffling, and it would take somebody who's far more financially savvy than me with all these terms and things to understand it, because I took a look at the documentation that was included and how they'll be handling things, and I went, I genuinely don't understand this. I wanted to break it down for you guys, but I can't because I don't get it. So this sort of thing was being offered for a number of different things on Mythic markets, but obviously this is a Magic the Gathering focus channel, so I focus on the Magic the Gathering aspect. So they had Magic art and Magic cards that they did this with, but they just put out an announcement saying that they're liquidating all of their positions. So hold on, let me just grab the statement here, and I can actually read what it says, because I will probably mess up the wording. So it says, over the course of the next few months, we intend to liquidate the assets and close the current marketplace. If you're a shareholder in any of the assets, your shares will be redeemed and you'll be paid out as outlined in the offering curricular. The offering curricular is what I was talking about, where it's this insane, like this document is absolutely massive. It is mind-boggling the amount of documentation that's required for this kind of undertaking. It involves, I don't know, like you have to put in particular regulations with the government, and it's pretty wild overall. So they've come out and said, we're liquidating our positions and people are going to get paid out. I have no idea how much money this is going to mean. They're talking about launching some other kind of business strategy. So I don't know if this is shutting down because it turned out that it wasn't financially viable, or if they just got some kind of giant financial offer kind of to be bought out. That kind of thing happens. I have literally no concept of how successful this was as an endeavor, because the whole thing is essentially, to me, incredibly complex and arcane. So I look at it and go, wow, it's crazy that people are getting involved in this. I mean, I would never personally buy a fraction of a Magic card. It just feels too weird to me. Do you know what it just doesn't feel like something that I could get behind. But that's me particularly. So, let me know if that's something that, first of all, you understand better than me, and secondly, that you would get into. Or if you're somebody who is actually involved with it specifically, let me know your experiences with this, because I am genuinely curious. All right. So now the other curiosity we have to talk about today involves the mystery boosters. Okay. So If you're not familiar with the concept of the mystery boosters, they're actually one of the most awesome products that Wizards of the Coast has ever made. It's a Magic set that includes almost 1,700 different cards. There are over 1,600 different cards in this set. It's a massive reprint set. And the reason it was originally conceived was to help out conventions. So basically what happened is, for the longest time at conventions, Chaos drafts were all the rage, okay? And Chaos drafts are a really fun concept. A normal draft is where you go, okay, we're going to do the Ravnica block, or we're going to do the Innistrad block, and you draft with those particular cards, all meant to be drafted in the same environment. But a Chaos draft is just that. It is chaotic. How it works is you have random boosters. They could be from any set. You could have one set that's from the mid-90s. You could have a brand new set like Throne of Eldraine, and something from, Invasions from the early 2000s, whatever it is. It's 3 different boosters, so it leads to a crazy different environment. When you've played in drafts and you're playing a particular format of draft, like a particular block, you can find there is a rhythm, and there are, it's like the format gets solved, where it's like, okay, in this particular draft format, the best color combo is white-red, because it has the most powerful commons and uncommons, and you just kind of fall into that rhythm, right? But with Chaos drafts, you have no clue of what's coming or what the possibilities are. So it leads to a crazier and looser draft experience, which I'm a huge fan of. But here's the problem with Chaos drafts, and it may have already become apparent to you if you think about it. There are only so many old school packs kicking around, and each Chaos draft reduces the amount of those packs that are available, right? So as more and more of these older packs get opened, it becomes more expensive to run Chaos drafts, because you have to charge more, you have to pay more to get the packs. It can be difficult to source a bunch of different product. So Wizards of the Coast stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to solve your problem. We're going to create these things called mystery boosters. And they help to emulate the concept of a Chaos draft, because there are over 1,600 different cards in it. You have a crazy amount of different options. Basically, every different slot in the pack has over 100 different cards that could be in that particular slot, which leads to a massive, massive amount of variation, right? So that leads to a lot of fun craziness. So there was 2 versions of mystery boosters. There were the mystery boosters they made available for stores, and there were the mystery boosters that they made available for conventions. Now, there was really only one difference between those boosters, and that was that the store versions had foils and additional foils. The store version had additional foils, and the convention edition had special playtest variations, which are very similar to uncards. So they're like basically joke cards. They haven't been play tested. They have little sketches on them or whatever. They're just goofy little throwaway, silly, crazy cards. But they were a huge draw. People wanted those. Wizards only put them in the convention boosters so people would go to conventions and get involved. And, that makes sense before what happened to the world. That kind of, with everything that happened to the world, conventions, not really so much on the table. But regardless, the most desirable part of all of the mystery boosters came to be those playtest cards, because you could only get foil cards in place of them in regular store boosters. So now we have a scenario where Wizards of the Coast is about to release a bunch of convention-style mystery boosters to local game stores. So you'll have the ability to get these playtest cards, right? Instead of having the foils, which is cool. But they've made a weird change to these mystery packs in that they have removed particular cards. And instead of replacing those particular cards, they have just increased the frequency that another group of cards has in those packs. So I'm going to quickly go over the list of the cards that they're removing from the booster pack, and quickly go over the list of cards that they are doubling up on, just to cover that in fullness. It's a very weird sort of scenario. So they're taking out of the booster packs Anger of the Gods, Approach of the Second Sun, Desert Twister, Dictate of Heliod, Dismember, Essence Warden, Fade into Antiquity, Forgotten Cave, Frogmite, Giant Growth, Curd Ape, Moonglove Extract, Mother of Runes, Nature's Lore, New Horizons, Nyx Fleece Ram, Pollen Bright Wings, Rage Reflection, They're also taking out Revenant, Rhystic Study, Seal of Cleansing, Seal of Strength, Stalking Tiger, and Swords to Plowshares. Now, it's an interesting, weird mix of cards that they're removing, and I can't actually fully see the reason for it. It's not like they're all super valuable cards that they're taking out of there. There are some cards in there that have some decent value on the secondary market, but ultimately it's difficult to discern what made them choose to remove the cards. And what's even more confusing is the fact that they're increasing the frequency of other cards. So as it says at the top, the following cards appear at twice their previous frequency, replacing where the cards that I just went over would have appeared, which is it's a weird choice. So the higher frequency cards will be Aggressive Instinct, Alloy Mirror, Ambitious Aetherborn, Armadillo Cloak, Aura of Silence, Cast Out, Creeping Mold, Cultivate, Evra Halcyon Witness, Gift of Growth, Gate Furnace, I'm having a hard time here, Great Furnace, Null Spine Dragon, Meteorite, Might of the Masses, Mirror Entity, Mog Fanatic. They're also doubling up on Murder, Path of Peace, Priest of Titania, Rox Maulers, Sakashima the Imposter, Torian Mauler, Thrashing Brontodon, and Wall of Omens. Good Lord, my friends, it's hot and the heat is cooking my brain. All right, so I'm messing those card names up. So ultimately, to me, it does feel like the cards they're doubling up on are not, there's not quite as many valuable cards in there, but they're not taking a ton of valuable cards out. So I genuinely don't know. They didn't offer any explanation as to why these changes are being made, as far as I could see. So it is like a wild sort of, what do you do? Why you do? Okay, all right, I guess that's what's going on. I mean, ultimately, I'm super stoked about the concept of the Mystery Boosters Convention Edition being available at the LGS. I'm going to see if maybe I can get my hands on some. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm thinking about giving it a shot. Anyways, that's the news we had to talk about today. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below on both the Mythic market situation and the Mystery Booster change here. And yeah, other than that, big shout out to my patrons. Thanks for supporting the channel. I will see you all next time, my friends.